You're listening to Built for Nature, an exploration of how humans are designed to live through first principles, light, water, magnetism, and the deeper forces that shape human biology. Today, I want to talk about the ideal way to exercise. This isn't going to be weights versus cardio. Instead, I want to explore a deeper question. What if the quality of exercise isn't just about movement, but about the environment in which that movement happens? When I zoom out and look at biology through the lens of light, water, and magnetism, a different model of exercise starts to emerge for me. And at the center of that model is one thing: mitochondria. Modern fitness culture tends to treat the body like a mechanical system: stress the muscle, recover, grow. But mitochondria suggest something different. They tell a story about energy, environment, and adaptation. In Power, Sex, Suicide, Nick Lane describes mitochondria as the engines that made complex life possible. They don't just produce energy, they shape how life itself functions. This means that exercise isn't just about muscles, it's about how we train the energy systems that power life itself. And when you start looking through that lens, the environment becomes impossible to ignore because mitochondria are not isolated. They are deeply influenced by light, temperature, and electromagnetic conditions. This is where some of the earlier ideas I've talked about start to connect. For example, in Health and Light, John Ott spent decades observing how different types of light affect biology. He showed that full spectrum natural light supports normal growth and regulation, while artificial lighting distorts biological function. Not just vision, but hormones, development, and behavior. Similarly, in Light and Shaping Life, Roeland van Wijk explores the fact that cells use ultra-weak light emissions as part of communication and regulation inside living systems. In other words, biology is far more light sensitive than we've ever been taught. And then there's water. In the fourth phase of water, Gerald Pollack demonstrates that water inside living systems isn't just a passive solvent. It exists in a structured, energy-rich state, especially near surfaces and when exposed to radiant energy like sunlight. He demonstrates that this structured water stores energy and influences biological function. Sunlight isn't just hitting your skin, it's also influencing the very medium that surrounds your mitochondria. So since mitochondria are energy processors, biology is light sensitive, and water can hold structured energy, then exercise isn't just mechanical stress. It's an energetic, electrical event. And this is where the modern gym environment starts to look absolutely abysmal. Think about the typical workout setting: artificial lighting, climate control, synthetic flooring. Natural light is non-existent. While people can clearly build muscle in this environment, chronic exposure to artificial lighting impairs mitochondrial function over time, reducing ATP production, increasing oxidative stress, and disrupting circadian regulation. Since mitochondria evolved under full spectrum sunlight, the absence of beneficial red and near infrared wavelengths in modern gyms undermines long-term metabolic health and recovery. Turns out all those bros lifting outside on the beach in Venice, they actually had it right. For most of human history, movement didn't happen under LED panels. It happened more like those guys on the beach. It happened under the sun, walking, carrying, climbing, sprinting, all outdoors in full spectrum light, with temperature variation, on natural ground. Movement and environment were never separated, and mitochondria evolved inside that pairing. Mitochondria respond to signals: light signals, thermal signals, electromagnetic signals, signals that are largely absent in these indoor exercise environments. There's also a circadian dimension to this. Natural light exposure, especially in the morning, helps anchor biological rhythms. In Health and Light, John Ott emphasized that light entering the eyes plays a regulatory role far beyond just vision. It helps set timing signals for the brain and body. Thus, morning movement outdoors does something fundamentally different than late night exercise under artificial light. Not just psychologically, but biologically. There's also a hydration and cellular energy angle. We learned from Pollack in the fourth phase of water that sunlight exposure influences how water behaves inside tissues, which means that movement in sunlight doesn't just burn energy, it also helps structure the environment where energy is processed. That's a very different paradigm than calories in, calories out. Then there's the signaling layer. Van Wyck's work in Light and Shaping Life shows that cells don't just talk through chemicals, they also communicate with tiny flashes of light called biophotons. These ultra-weak emissions, mostly from mitochondria, help coordinate healing, metabolism, and brain function. But here's the catch and how it ties to indoor gyms. This light communication system evolved under sunlight, which gives us the full spectrum of light our biology expects. Modern gym lighting, especially harsh LEDs, lacks the red and near-infrared wavelengths that support this process. So while people clearly still build muscle under fluorescent lights, they are missing a key biological signal, the natural light that keeps their cells in sync. This environmental mismatch between our engineered modern environments and the light conditions that shaped mitochondrial evolution will impair long-term cellular communication and metabolic health. So what does it all actually mean in practical terms? First, it means that outdoor movement has tremendous biological value, and that's because it restores inputs that shaped human physiology. Sunlight, natural light gradients, ground contact, temperature variation, even simple things like walking, hiking, sprinting outside carry significant benefits that go way beyond calorie burn. Next, it means we need to think about light timing. Morning and midday outdoor movement align better with circadian biology than late night artificial light training, which should be avoided. And lastly, it demands a shift in mindset. Instead of asking, what's the most optimal workout? We now start asking, what's the most biologically aligned way to move? And usually the answer won't be more complexity. It'll just be more nature. Now, none of this means you should abandon strength training. You should just do it outside. Strength is valuable, muscle is protective, and resistance training clearly improves health markers. The real opportunity here is integration, lifting weights but also getting sunlight, training hard but also moving outside, building strength while respecting biology. Since mitochondria are the foundation of energy, the goal isn't just stronger muscles, it's stronger energy systems. And energy systems evolved in nature, not in isolation, and definitely not under LED lights. The big takeaway here is simple. Exercise is not just a mechanical act, it's a biological signal. And the environment you train in shapes that signal. Light matters, water matters, timing matters. And the closer movement resembles the conditions humans evolved in, the more aligned it will be with the systems that power us. Movement is medicine, but movement in nature is the ideal form of medicine. If nothing else, maybe this reframes the goal, not just to exercise more, but to exercise in a way that reconnects us with the environments that shaped human life in the first place. Thanks for listening.